I'm just walking in over here at the clearing job, give you guys a little perspective of what we deal with. Showed you at my own place before, but that's the hole where I was washing out mats. You guys remember seeing that video? I walk through there right now, I'd fall in. Wouldn't have no idea there's a deep hole there, so you got to remember this stuff. But yeah, water all through the woods. We've had about 6 or 7 inches of rain in the last week. It's a little drizzly again this morning. This stuff just doesn't run off where we're at. It takes, I mean, it will eventually, but it sits here longer and it soaks in, and that's what gives us this real boggy issues where we, you know, have to really truly wait for things to dry out, and maybe even then come in on timber mats. All the water is running from that direction. It's coming this way straight over, and that's my property. There's my house over there. But the problem is the road is higher. The road acts like a levee, so the water actually backs up on this side of the road, and for like a quarter mile worth of road there are 3 18-inch culverts that I've counted. That's it. And this is catching runoff from over 100 acres, probably more like several hundred, that all comes through here, and it all gets choked on those culverts. And if those culverts plug off with sticks and dirt, we're even worse. So there's just not a whole lot of relief for the area. It needs to be improved, but you know, the county doesn't really have the money to fix things up for us. There's other parts of the county that have it even worse, I'm sure. But I was actually walking over here today because I wanted to see whether or not the pond got breached, because with all this rain and water in the woods, this is the time to know whether or not water broke into the pond. And looking at it, I don't think it did. I see there's quite a bit of water in there, but I think it's all just rainwater that ran in, because there's our rainwater that fell in and ran in. Yeah, see, if there was a breach, you should still see it, because I've still got water trickling into my pond that's coming through a low spot. So this is not high water that flooded in. This is all rainwater that fell in. You can see where it's raining here off this pad. So everything off the banks, everything off of here has all run into there. But this is really good. That makes me happy to see that it is not, if it was full to the brim, you know, that would tell me, okay, you had a breach somewhere, and all the water that otherwise was running through the woods has found its way into the pond. So that tells me that at least I've managed to get a levee around his pond to protect it, which means we will be able to pump it back out when we need to. And we will whenever we go to try to dig again. But I don't know when that's going to be, because of course all this clay I'm standing on and more that we take out of the pond has to all be pushed over there, and you can see there's standing water all right there. We were debating, I was kind of, I wouldn't say I was really trying, but I was strongly suggesting, when we had the excavator over here before, that he get a bulldozer in and we bale and push dirt like how I did my driveway. He didn't want to because he thought it was too dry, and I told him, you know, wide track dozer, how I did my driveway, that'd be okay. But he didn't want to deal with it, which is fine. It's his choice, not mine. Had we done it then, we could have pushed a road over to where his pad needs to be, and we could have built his driveway up a little bit more here. I just couldn't really effectively do it. I mean, I did this with the excavator and the tractor, and it's just, again, it's just not effective trying to do it with the tractor like that. It's just so slow. You need something that can move a little faster or push a little more dirt with each trip. You can't track it with the excavator effectively, and you can't push it with the tractor effectively. So I'm gonna borrow his little diesel sprayer here. We're gonna have a bonfire tomorrow, hopefully, if the wood's dry. He's got this little pump up sprayer for diesel, which is super cool. So I'm gonna borrow that and take it home to help get the bonfire lit tomorrow. Anyway, yeah, I know I've talked about all this before. Just wanted to wander over here and kind of see how his place was looking with all the rain. It doesn't, I mean, it looks as I expected. I drove by and seen it from the road, but I hadn't walked in. So I'm really happy to see that the pond is protected. Yes, it's got a lot of water in it, but we'll be able to pump that out, you know, just a couple of hours really. You know, but if you had a breach in your levee in a low spot, you cannot pump it out because the water just runs right back around and runs right back in. So it's good to see that we at least got it protected. That's a positive. And he's definitely gonna need some more dirt on his driveway. I was explaining this to him, you know, at a minimum, he's got to build up as high as the road to not have his driveway ever be underwater. I would say go a little higher than the road, because again, hard for me to explain this with you guys trying to understand the perspective, but basically this direction is northeast, and that's where all the water comes from. There's a road running right over there. This road I was parked on when I matted my way in. All the water gets channeled down that road, and again, when it hits the road here, it gets blocked like a levee. And so then everything that's on this side, on the east side of the road, wants to run down the east side until it finds those culverts to get underneath. But it's coming from the north, coming south here, and now it's going to hit his driveway and it's going to get blocked up. So we're going to have a real choke point right here at his culvert. Everything trying to get under. He and I were discussing, he's got one piece of pipe that he found on a job somewhere. We might put a few extra culverts in his driveway itself just to help with that. Otherwise, he's going to have a real restriction right here from all the water trying to come down and trying to get through his 1/18-inch culvert. So we'll see. We'll see if he decides to be that generous, or if he just decides to have water in his woods and let everybody deal with it. You know, it's kind of every man for himself out here. Well, it really is. We follow the rules of the county as far as putting in culverts where they say we have to on our driveway, but they won't do anything on private property. They'll just say, well, your property's flooded if you like it. I tried to tell the county, I tried to suggest to the county that they need to come through here in the road. See, they had all this road ripped up a year ago. They tore it all the way down to base rock, or down to base fill. I mean, look at the road ditch, just completely full, and it'll stay this way now for months. Look at my property, all the water in the woods. So it all goes south, down about halfway down to where you see that little bend, and that's about where it tries to cross under the road and go west. I tried to tell the county to put in more bigger culverts when they had this all ripped up, and they didn't. So whatever, it is what it is. We'll all just keep on dealing with it. Fine with it. Just make sure if you love it, build it up a little bit. If you want to protect it, build it higher than the road. That's the rule.